Namaste. In this video, we are going to break down winter depression, the so-called winter blues, Seasonal Affective Disorder (SAD). We will also talk about circadian rhythms and jet lag, and of course, how to deal with all of this using light therapy. But more on that later. Seasonal affective disorder is a type of clinical depression that occurs at a specific time of year, most often in fall or winter. The common names for this condition are winter depression or autumn blues. This type of depression affects a fairly large percentage of the world's population, especially in northern latitudes. Scientists have identified two types of seasonal depression: winter and summer. But of course, the most common is the winter type. It accounts for 90% of all cases of seasonal depression, and it begins in late autumn, October-November. It peaks in December through February and passes in spring when more sun appears, around March, April. The symptoms of this depression are quite widespread and typical in all times. It is depressed mood, low energy, constant fatigue, wanting to sleep 10-12 hours a day, overeating, which may not be as relevant in warm weather, especially junk food, processed carbohydrates, and of course weight gain, loss of interest in usual activities. At the root of most cases of seasonal depression is a lack of sunlight. First, the day is short, only 8-9 hours in comparison to summer 14-16. Second, the sun is lower on the horizon, so light intensity is reduced. And the third, people spend much more time indoors rather than outside. Although these criteria can be applied to the entire year, people spend too much time indoors nowadays. Because there is insufficient light during the day, melatonin is poorly suppressed, which causes constant drowsiness and lethargy, leading to depression. Since serotonin is a precursor to melatonin, it also becomes imbalanced. It's produced less efficiency with insufficient light, which is also a cause of depression. Due to insufficient light and melatonin disruption, circadian rhythms shift, and the body thinks it should sleep more. This stimulates feeling of fatigue, leads to depression, and even impairs cognitive function. In addition to all this, insufficient light creates an additional side effect: low vitamin D levels. Vitamin D participates in the production of serotonin and dopamine. Since their balance is disrupted, vitamin D is also disrupted. There is less of it, and this is also a cause of depression. So, the processes of seasonal depression development can vary depending on each person's particular characteristics, but everyone has the same root cause of seasonal depression: lack of light. Light therapy for seasonal depression was developed back in 1980s by psychiatrist Norman Rosenthal. He discovered and described seasonal depression. He was the first actually one to evolve it. He also developed light therapy as a treatment method, actually the primary treatment method for seasonal depression. He is the author of many bestsellers. Interestingly, he came to this through his own personal story. He himself suffered from this disorder after moving from sunny South Africa to cloudy New York. This prompted him to research this condition. At the beginning of this research, he started with a very simple hypothesis. If winter depression is related to lack of light, then artificially increasing the length of the day should help. For this experiment, Rosenthal developed a special light panel, of course with the help of the engineers. At that time, the intensity of this panel was only 2500 lux. Later, I will explain in more details what this means, but at that time, that was the maximum that could be done. His single test subject had to sit in front of this panel for 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening. The point was to artificially lengthen the daylight. The experiment lasted 2 weeks. As a result, after 4 days, the subject felt significant improvement. After 2 weeks, symptoms completely disappeared. When therapy was stopped, symptoms returned just within a week. When therapy resumed, symptoms disappeared again. So the conclusion was, this definitely works, but more patients are needed. Many other experiments followed, real experiments, randomized clinical trials. Rosenthal had a revolutionary idea to link depression with circadian rhythms and photoperiod. Through his research, he proved his hypothesis. And since the problem turned out to be quite widespread, research continued very intensively. And in just 9 years, by 1989, the gold standard for light therapy in treating winter depression was established. It was 10,000 lux, 30 minutes in the morning. This gold standard remains relevant even today. Summarizing the results of many clinical studies, a meta-analysis was conducted in 2015 that included 20 controlled trials with more than 500 patients diagnosed with seasonal depression. In average protocol, patients received bright white light, 10,000 lux. They received it 30 minutes in the morning, within the 2 hours after waking. Experiments in average lasted from 4 to 6 weeks. As a result, 67% of patients achieved complete remission. 90% showed significant improvement, and effect appeared within just 1-2 weeks after starting therapy. When comparing light therapy versus antidepressants, you can imagine light therapy gives effect just in 1-2 weeks and no side effects. Antidepressants, they start to work in 4-6 weeks with side effects, which can be observed in up to 50% of people. As a result of all the research conducted, light therapy has become a proven treatment for seasonal depression. It had received the highest level of evidence in scientific circles. It is included in all international clinical guidelines. And the optimum protocol confirmed 10,000 lux, 30 minutes in the morning. And the results were confirmed even 15 years later. The effectiveness remained stable and data reliability was very high. To understand how all this works, how it is connected to us, our body, circadian rhythms, depression and light, let's talk in more details about the biochemical mechanism. In our retina, there are special cells called photosensitive ganglion cells. They don't participate in image formation, but they capture the intensity of blue light. I will explain later why blue light specifically is so important for us in working with seasonal depression. These cells transmit this signal of blue wavelengths to the brain, reporting whether it's currently day or night. This signal from photosensitive ganglion cells is in the retina goes to a tiny region of the hypothalamus, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which captures and controls the circadian rhythms of all organs and systems in our body. From here, signals are sent that affect to hormones, neurotransmitters, and so on. Light is an electromagnetic wave, and the wavelength determines what color we see the light as, or wherever we don't see it at all, if it is infrared or ultraviolet. For example, wavelength is measured in nanometers, and our eye captures light waves in the range from 380 to 750 nanometers. Below 380, it is ultraviolet. We don't see it. It causes tanning and burns. Above 750 nanometers, we also don't see it. It is called infrared, and it is felt like a little bit heat. In the context of light therapy, working with circadian rhythms, jet lag, and seasonal depression, blue light is the key. Blue light wavelengths is from 450 to 490 nanometers. Most specifically, clinical researchers focus on 460, 480. In clinical studies, they mention light of 10,000 lux, but now I'm telling you about nanometers. How can you relate them? Actually, these are different parameters, but both are very important in light therapy. Nanometers indicate wavelengths, color. Lux indicates intensity, density of light. To better understand what this means, let's compare it to regular household light bulbs. The light bulbs at home usually have intensity of approximately 300-500 lux. Their spectrum wavelength depends on bulb type. It can be incandescent, full spectrum, but more red-orange. It can be warm LED, which is less blue. It can be cool LED, which is more blue. Why regular bulbs don't work as healing ones? Well, that's very simple, because 300-500 lux is too little to affect circadian rhythms. It is 10-20 times less than needed. It is too low to suppress melatonin. We remember we need 10,000 lux. And even if spectrum contains blue color, 460-480 nanometers, its intensity is too low, often too much warm light and too little blue. And the blue light from the bulbs disperses before reaching us, and we get it very, very little. When choosing a device for yourself, pay attention to these both parameters: wavelength, spectrum nanometers, and intensity, lux. They both are very important and needed to work effectively and influence to seasonal depression. And please note, more lux is not always better. For circadian rhythms, 10,000 lux is sufficient. 20,000, 50,000 won't improve the effect. They may cause discomfort even in the eyes and retina, so more is not always better. In this case, definitely not. Some people say that sunlight is the best light therapy, and I totally agree with them. The sunlight provides over 100,000 lux. It is a huge amount of light and has full spectrum, but there are some limitations, of course. In certain regions, especially in winter, there may not be enough sun, and you may not have enough opportunity to be in the sun as long as needed. And sometimes I would prefer, for such cases, to take control of this myself. This is actually what modern biohacking tools and devices can do. And now we've come to the most interesting part: what to choose, what options exist in the modern world of biohacking to help yourself and to cope with seasonal depression. So, share your questions, ask them. I'll tell you everything I want and provide any additional information if required. And also share this video with your friends to promote the light therapy knowledge widely. And if you really need light therapy device at home, follow this channel, and in the next video I'll share the detailed guideline what light therapy device to choose and how to do this.